Escorts of Reddit, what was your first day of work like? Not sure if this is what you're looking for. I was a different type of ex-worker, a pro dom. My first pro session was terrible. He was a good client, however anything bad that could have happened did happen, including cracking his rib during a trample session. Very rare when everything is done correctly. However, I never had an issue after that first session, ended up with quite a few wonderful regulars. I'm very interested to hear a little more about how this works. What other interesting experiences have you had? How did you get into the industry? All my partners, at that point, had been kinky and submissive, or had a foot fetish, so I was comfortable exploring new fetishes. I had been selling used panties for the money, and thought I'd take it a step further. I decided to find a small private dungeon to rent by the hour and put up an ad online. Being new on the market, I got plenty of inquiries. Other than the first session, I loved the job for many surprising reasons. I learned so much about how people work, and often about myself. For many clients, they had lived their whole lives keeping their fetishes a secret. When first timers came to me, I was sometimes the only person they had ever talked to about this part of their life that they often despised. I was honored to be the person who helped some of these people come to terms with their desires, and often felt like more of a counselor than a sex worker. Never before had I realized how much stigmas can change and ruin a person's life. I'm so much more aware now of the comments I make, because you never know what friend or loved one is secretly getting hurt by your words. Such wise words. I started working because I'd gotten a few propositions through a dating website. I was studying med at the time and I was short on money. So one time, this guy made me what seemed like a lucrative offer and I agreed. I didn't know how any of it worked, so I told a friend I was going out and to call or text me in an hour's time. We initially met in a park at night, sat in his very nice car, had a bit of a flirty chat, then made an appointment. He said he was 58 years old, but I think he was about 15-20 years older than that. A week or two later, I drove over to his apartment. I was petrified, but I needed the money so I rang the doorbell. It was a lovely apartment, and he paid up front. He was nice enough. He asked me to do some things that I didn't want to do, so I said, maybe not this time. Kept an eye on the time, via the helpful clock radio next to the bed, and thankfully he finished on time. Had a shower, bit of a chat afterwards, and then he kissed me goodbye on the cheek. I think the fact that I said no to rimming annoyed him a little, but he texted later and asked if I would like to do a threesome with another working girl. Things proceeded from there. Hit enter twice, that'll do it. Not sure if formatting help or escort advice. Do you charge more for entering twice in an hour? As for your questions, I was very nervous, but it wasn't too awkward because we communicated about what he wanted during the experience and I was happy to accommodate that, mostly. I didn't have fun, though I led him to believe I did. I would say the client was happy. Happy all over my chest. I know my motivations at the time, but I would never ever tell anyone about it. I told one person, my doctor. I keep a diary to process through things, and that's enough for me. I drank a heap of wine before I went to the agency. This was about 2.5 years ago when the industry was booming. I did booking after booking and went home with a massive wad of cash. I didn't think about it too much. I just loved the rush of being booked and making so much money. The industry is dead over here now and I have no idea why. Industry's dead here, too. A lot of my friends are escorts. I dance in a fully nude club and do sex shows, and I know a lot of it is the plummeting price of sex. We have a huge human trafficking and pimping problem, and tricks are always looking for the best deal. Can't compete, unfortunately. Most girls have packed up and left. I still dance occasionally, but I work in an office now. It's just a bad time to be a sex worker. Perhaps it's because the market's been flooded with girls willing to do it. There are so many cam girls and escorts these days, and they're so easy to find, that there's probably too many options for men to choose from. The money's probably just being spread thin over a larger amount of workers, as I doubt that less men are choosing to go to escorts. I can imagine sites like Tinder where people are just looking to hook up have something to do with it as well. With the internet these days, it's super easy to connect with people who just want free, no strings attached. Yes, a lot of the girls have speculated that new apps and sites like Ashley Madison, Adult Friend Finder, etc. are part of the problem. I've noticed that people in Sydney are really restraining from purchasing anything right now. It's about to get worse with all the under 30 students flooding the market. Bizarrely, I've not found that a problem in terms of my bookings. I'm almost 32. There are a lot of young girls working, which I find a little worrying. I never would have thought to try escorting at 18 years old, so try to keep an eye on them and make sure they know how to best stay safe. I was an independent escort for 4 years. My first night, I was ridiculously nervous. I went to an upscale hotel, nervously walked through the lobby, hoping I looked like I belonged there, and not like what I was really there for. I was nervous the whole elevator ride up to his room. I walk to his room, lightly knock on the door. He opens the door, says, "For the story's sake, we will use the name Sarah." "Hi, Sarah," and like an idiot I reply with my real name. We laughed it off. It was quick, 10 minutes. He was polite and clean. In the area for business. I ended up seeing him a few more times over the years, always very nice. Tipped on top of the hourly rate, which was always appreciated and made me choose to see him over other clients in the future. I have dozens of other stories if anyone is interested in hearing. In general, what was your average client like in terms of demographics, behavior? Were most meetings fairly normal, for example, not really worth writing about? Most guys were family men. Bored with their sex life at home, and looking for something different. I also saw some guys that were in their 20s, and I think did it just for the sake of saying someday that they did it. I did see quite a few weirdos. Had to kick some people out of my house, or in on case ran out the door while putting my shirt on, and a good friend of mine who was working with me ran out behind me and dove into the car through a window, trying to just leave that guy's house as quickly as possible. Please elaborate on that last story. I was working with a good friend I had known for years. A lot more money for 2 girls than just one. We go to the guy's hotel, relax for a few minutes, chat, make small talk. I go over my rules with him again, just to be clear, so there is no confusion. Rules: nothing in my bed, or there's no weird shit, like golden showers, or gross stuff. Protection must be used. There was a few others, but those were my big ones. The usual threesome stuff goes down. When time is starting to run out, I let them know in a nice way that doesn't ruin the mood. He starts getting extremely rough, saying that's how he gets off. I stop the activity, let him know that I will do my best to make him happy, but that I'm not putting myself, or the girl I'm working with, through pain for this. He apologizes, and we continue. He once again starts being rough with me, to the point that my friend has to push him off. He starts getting angry and yelling, saying we owe him back the money. I did not want to deal with that level of crazy, or have the cops called and have to explain anything. We took off as quick as possible. I didn't work for a few weeks after that. I'm a straight male escort, and my first day of work was definitely not what I expected. I had female friends in the industry, so I already knew what a normal job would be like. It's the same regardless of gender. In a typical booking, you meet, chat for a bit, sort out business, ask the client to shower, then get down to business. For me, that generally includes a massage, foreplay, sex, and a fair bit of conversation. For my first booking, I received an email from a girl that basically went as follows: "Hi, I'd like to book you as a birthday present for my friend's 24th surprise party." No worries, I can do that. I turned up early to help these girls prepare the surprise, and they're all insanely attractive. Out of my league attractive. The girl who booked me then drops this bombshell on me: "Oh, by the way, all of us girls are either escorts or strippers." You hot. I'm in way over my head. I do my best to remain calm and collected, and we all enjoy ourselves before the birthday girl shows up. They all turn out to be lovely girls, and we all had a fun night. No actual sex, but there were a few shenanigans that went on. At the end of the day, it was a definite thrown in the deep end experience, but one I'll never forget. How does one get into the straight male escort industry? I'm asking for a friend. Did you find out how people get into the male escort business? Sadly no. Damn. If you find out, let me know. Posted this before, but what the hell, throw away for obvious reasons, but I'm an actively working girl. My first time was only about a month ago. It was through a website where you make offers to pay a girl to go on a date with you. They had to be very clear that it wasn't a prostitution website. You compensate for time, it said, many times, but X was fairly well implied. My first time was with a 43-year-old married man in town on business. He had contacted me about a week prior, through the website, offering $80 for a date. He said he would give me $2,000 per month for regular sex if we liked each other. I said yes, and he told me which hotel to meet him at and when. He also told me what to wear. I arrived and he wasn't too bad looking, slender and way more tan than you normally see as far north as I am. He bought me a drink first at the hotel bar and we talked for a bit. I was unbelievably nervous, but he was fairly reassuring. I was sure everyone knew what I was there for, and I was terrified of anyone calling me out. Eventually he suggested we head up to his room, and I gave the meekest okay that has ever passed my lips. We went up and sat on the bed and chatted a bit more before he kissed me. After a couple seconds he pulled back and said, "I like the way you do that. Let's take off your clothes and see what else you do well." I got naked and gave him a I wasn't really expecting him to finish that way, but he did. After that he laid back on the bed and indicated I should join him, so we snuggled and talked for a bit more. Eventually he told me that he thought I was funny and sweet and too good at that, and that he didn't want to see me again in case he formed an emotional attachment. He said he just wanted he didn't want to mess things up with his wife. I said that was fine and we talked some more. Eventually I started putting my clothes on. I was waiting for him to give me some money, but he wasn't making any moves in that direction, so I sat and talked with him a little longer. Eventually I reminded him that we had agreed on $80 for the date, and he acted all surprised. Then he made a show of looking for his wallet and then counted out each bill and dropped it on the bed as he did. I took it and left, not accepting his offer to call me a cab. I felt pretty gross. My later experiences were better. If you were good enough that he decided you were too good and made him worry about falling for you, maybe you should be have charged more than $80 a date. Haha, it was just a line. He didn't really mean it, I think. My rates have stayed pretty consistent. I tried being a rent boy for about a week. The first time was when someone messaged me on Manhunt, offering to suck my dick for $200, which sounded okay, and is actually not too uncommon in the gay community. I went to some random hotel in Chelsea and nicked in some guy's mouth. It wasn't too bad until the last person I ended up seeing, which creeped me out enough to end that career. I wasn't grossed out too much by anyone, but I had a hard time keeping it up. So for this client, with the username Globed, I took Viagra right before getting there. After about a half hour of somewhat awkward conversation, he kept talking about his night in heaven. He took me up to his room. As soon as we got there I started to get creeped out. He lived completely alone in a large apartment, but when we got to his bedroom door, the door had a large 4x4 inches expensive keypad lock with a number password. Why would someone need that on a bedroom where they bring rent boys in when they live completely alone? The next thing he did was shut the lights off, say wanna know why they call me Globed, and flip a switch, which turned on bright blue lights underneath his bed. I decided to just jet out of the apartment and take a subway home. Hectometer sounds pretty cool actually. I had a Globed set up once. Didn't show it off to rent boys however. What do you mean? I also had a glowing bed. Didn't show it to rent boys. I am straight. I also enjoy Jello. Haha, oh I get it. What made you make it? Do girls like it? Honestly I do it just because it'd look cool.